9 players were drafted before Todd Gurley in the 2015 NFL Draft. The 2015 class was headlined by flashy quarterbacks, dominant defenders, and big-time playmakers. But one running back, fresh off a torn ACL, still found his way into the top 10. Todd Gurley, selected 10th overall, went on to become one of the most electrifying backs of his era, piling up explosive runs, jaw-dropping highlights, and an Offensive Player of the Year award. But what about the 9 players taken ahead of him? Some lived up to expectations, others disappeared quickly, and a few never reached the level scouts promised on draft night. Today, we're breaking down the stories behind those 9 picks, the stars, the letdowns, and everything in between. Let's find out what happened to the 9 players drafted before Todd Gurley.
With the first pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jameis Winston.
First player selected. Jameis Winston was taken first overall in the 2015 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but his path to that moment started long before draft night. Coming out of Hueytown High School in Alabama, Winston was one of the most coveted recruits in the country, a 5-star prospect, the #1 quarterback in his class, and a 2-sport superstar with legitimate MLB potential. His combination of arm talent, size, mobility, and baseball-level throwing mechanics made him look like a future franchise quarterback before he ever stepped on a college field. He chose Florida State, and it didn't take long for Winston to deliver on every ounce of hype. As a redshirt freshman in 2013, he took the college football world by storm, throwing for over 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, winning the Heisman Trophy, and leading the Seminoles to a national championship. It was one of the greatest debut seasons any college quarterback had ever produced. His second year wasn't as clean, filled with more turnovers and tighter game, but the raw arm strength and natural talent were still obvious. By the time he declared for the draft, Winston was seen as a high-risk, high-reward prospect with franchise quarterback upside. Tampa Bay bet on that upside, making him the first pick in 2015, hoping he would become the answer to years of instability at the position. Winston's NFL career started fast, over 4,000 passing yards as a rookie, a Pro Bowl selection, and flashes of brilliance that showed why he'd been drafted so high. But the turnovers never went away. That became the defining battle of his career. A quarterback capable of 350 yards and 3 touchdowns any given Sunday, but also capable of throwing the game away just as quickly. His 2019 season was the perfect example. Winston became the first player in league history to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in the same year. It was chaotic, entertaining, and ultimately the end of his run as Tampa Bay starter. After that, he spent time with the Saints, first as a backup, then as a spot starter, before bouncing around the league searching for another full-time opportunity. Now in 2025, he's with the New York Giants, where he's a mentor backup quarterback to Jackson Dart. He recently got a spot start against the Green Bay Packers. Ultimately, Jameis never lived up to the #1 overall pick, but he's definitely carved out a solid NFL career.
The second pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Marcus Mariota.
Second player drafted. Marcus Mariota was selected 2nd overall by the Tennessee Titans, and his journey to that pick was anything but typical for a future NFL star. Mariota wasn't a heavily hyped recruit early on. In fact, he didn't even start at quarterback until his senior year at St. Louis School, the same powerhouse that produced legends like Timmy Chang and Tua Tagovailoa. Once he finally got his chance, everything changed. Mariota exploded onto the scene with elite speed, poise, and a smooth, effortless throwing motion. Colleges began scrambling, and by the end of his senior season, he climbed into the national rankings as a 4-star recruit, one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in the country. He committed to Oregon, and that decision became era-defining for both sides. Under Chip Kelly and later Mark Helfrich, Mariota became the perfect engine for the Ducks' blistering up-tempo offense. From the moment he got the starting job, Oregon became a national powerhouse. Mariota's combination of intelligence, accuracy, made him nearly unstoppable. The 2014 season cemented his legacy. Over 5,000 total yards, 58 touchdowns, a Pac-12 championship, a college football playoff appearance, and the Heisman Trophy. It was one of the most efficient, dominant quarterback seasons in college football history. When he declared for the 2015 NFL Draft, the Titans saw a leader with elite athleticism, calm decision-making, and a spotless reputation, the complete opposite of the volatility teams feared with Winston. Tennessee made him the 2nd overall pick and handed him the keys to the franchise. Mariota showed flashes immediately, debuting with a 4-touchdown, perfect passer rating performance in his first game. Throughout his early seasons, he was known for efficiency, humility, and clutch moments, including multiple comeback wins and memorable runs, like his iconic self-caught touchdown pass in the 2017 playoffs against Kansas City. But injuries began stacking up, and inconsistent offensive lines chipped away at his explosiveness. By 2019, his time as Tennessee's starter ended when he was benched for Ryan Tannehill. From there, Mariota transitioned into a respected veteran presence. He spent years as a high-level backup with the Raiders, Eagles, and later the Falcons, where he briefly regained a starting job in 2022. His athleticism never disappeared, but the injuries and system changes made it tough for him to recapture his early Titans form. He continued finding opportunities around the league, a reliable mentor, spot starter, and veteran who could give a team mobility and stability when needed. And just like Winston, Mariota remains active in the league up through the 2024-2025 season, serving as a trusted professional presence in quarterback rooms and stepping in when called upon. His role has shifted from franchise cornerstone to steady veteran, but his reputation has never changed. Calm, respected, and always ready. He's had a couple spot starts for the Commanders with Jaden Daniels sidelined. He's been okay in that role, a solid backup quarterback.
The third pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Dante Fowler Jr.
Third player selected. Dante Fowler Jr. was taken third overall in the 2015 NFL Draft by the Jacksonville Jaguars, but his rise started long before draft night. At Lakewood High School in St. Petersburg, Florida, Fowler was a force of nature, a high four-star recruit ranked among the top defensive ends in the country that overwhelmed high school offensive line. Colleges across Southeast wanted him, but Fowler ultimately committed to staying in-state and chose the University of Florida, where he became one of the faces of the Gators defense almost immediately. At Florida, Fowler turned into one of the SEC's most disruptive players. He wasn't just an edge rusher. He lined up everywhere, interior rusher on passing downs. That versatility made him a nightmare for offenses. By his junior year, he became a full-blown star, putting up 15 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, and a dominant performance in the 2014 SEC Championship game that sent his draft stock soaring. By the time he declared, scouts loved his explosiveness, flexibility, and raw athletic upside. He looked like a future double-digit sack guy and one of the safest defensive picks in the draft. Jacksonville agreed, but disaster struck almost immediately. On the very first day of rookie minicamp, his first NFL practice, Fowler tore his ACL. His entire rookie season was over before it even started. It was one of the earliest and most heartbreaking injuries for a top 5 pick in recent memory. When he finally returned in 2016, he showed flashes but wasn't fully himself yet. It wasn't until 2017 that he truly broke out, becoming a key piece in the Jaguars' historic Jacksonville defense. That year, Fowler recorded 8 sacks, forced fumbles, and scored a defensive touchdown, helping lead Jacksonville all the way to the AFC Championship game. His speed off the edge finally translated, and he looked every bit like the player Jacksonville hoped for. But inconsistency and maturity issues eventually pushed the Jaguars to move on. In 2018, he was traded to the Los Angeles Rams, where he found new life next to Aaron Darnold. In 2019, Fowler had the best season of his career, 11.5 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, and a reputation as one of the league's fastest edge rushers. That breakout earned him a massive free agency deal with the Atlanta Falcons. His time in Atlanta brought more ups and downs. Injuries, scheme changes, and struggling defense made it tough to repeat his Rams success. Today, Fowler bounced to Dallas as a rotational pass rusher. Through the 2024-2025 season, Fowler has remained active in the league as a respected veteran pass rush specialist, the kind of player teams bring in for speed, energy, and experience off the edge. Even years after being a top 5 pick, he still flashes the explosiveness that made him a star at Florida. He didn't live up to expectations of a 3rd overall pick, but has carved up a solid career.
In the 2015 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Amari Cooper.
4th player selected. Amari Cooper was drafted 4th overall by the Oakland Raiders, and from the moment he stepped onto the football field, he looked like a future star. At Miami Northwestern High School, one of the most talented loaded programs in the country, Cooper emerged as a polished, precise, and technically advanced receiver at an age when most wideouts are still learning how to run a slant. He was a 4-star recruit, ranked among the top receivers nationally, known for his sharp route running, natural hands, and elite body control. Even in South Florida's ultra-competitive football scene, he stood out. He committed to Alabama, and that decision turned him into a household name. Cooper didn't just thrive in college, he dominated. As a freshman, he led Alabama in receiving and helped them win a national championship. By his junior season, he was virtually unguardable, shattering school records and becoming a Heisman finalist, something almost unheard of for a wide receiver. He played with NFL-level polish, running routes with an intelligence and crispness that left even the top SEC cornerbacks chasing air. When he declared for the 2015 NFL Draft, he was viewed as the cleanest wide receiver prospect in years. No weaknesses, no questions, just elite skill and polish. The Raiders took him with the 4th overall pick, hoping he would jumpstart a struggling offense. From the moment he arrived, he delivered. Cooper made the Pro Bowl as a rookie, topping 1,000 yards immediately and becoming Derek Carr's #1 target. His suddenness, ability to separate, and calm demeanor made him one of the league's premier young wideouts. He put up back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons in Oakland, helping lead the team to the playoffs in 2016, and giving the franchise their first true WR1 since Tim Brown. But by 2018, inconsistency in a struggling offense led to the Raiders trading him to the Dallas Cowboys. In a move that changed two franchises in Dallas, Cooper instantly revived the Cowboys' passing game, transformed Dak Prescott's career trajectory, and played a huge role in multiple division titles. His debut against Washington, 108 yards and 2 touchdowns, set the tone for what would become one of the best route runners of his generation. Cooper recorded 3 1,000-yard seasons with the Cowboys before eventually being traded to the Cleveland Browns, where he continued proving he could thrive in any system with any quarterback. In Cleveland, he posted more 1,000-yard seasons and continued showcasing the same smooth, effortless play style that made him elite at every level. After his Cleveland stint, he briefly played for the Buffalo Bills. Then, in 2025, he signed a 1-year deal with the Raiders. Suddenly, he told them in August of 2025 that he would step away from football and retire. Overall, the 5-time Pro Bowler had a good career.
2015 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Brandon Scherff.
5th player selected. Brandon Scherff was taken 5th overall by Washington, but his journey to becoming a top 5 NFL draft pick didn't follow the typical blueprint of a highly recruited skill player. At Denison High School in Iowa, Scherff wasn't just an offensive lineman. He was a rare all-around athlete. He played quarterback, tight end, and even ran the ball. He dominated in baseball, and he was a flat-out monster in the weight room. Scouts saw him as a 3-star recruit, big, strong, and physically gifted, but not yet locked into a single position. Iowa saw what he could become and brought him in to mold him into a future cornerstone. At the University of Iowa, Scherff transformed into one of the best defensive linemen in the entire country. The Hawkeyes turned raw strength into technique, discipline, and dominance. By his junior and senior seasons, Scherff wasn't just good. He was the most feared left tackle in the Big Ten. He overpowered defensive line, moved like a tight end in space, and became a stone setter for an offense built on toughness. In 2014, he won the Outland Trophy, awarded to the nation's best interior lineman, cementing himself as a future first-round pick. When he declared for the 2015 NFL Draft, teams viewed him as the safest prospect in the class. Elite strength, clean technique, no character concerns, and a professional mindset. Washington made him the 5th pick and immediately kicked him inside the guard, a move that would define his entire NFL career. At right guard, Scherff became an anchor from day one, made him the enforcer Washington's offensive line had lacked for years. He earned Pro Bowl honors early in his career and developed into one of the best guards in the entire league. His ability to pull, climb to the second level, and neutralize top interior rushers made him a foundational piece of Washington's offense for 7 seasons. In 2022, Scherff signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he continued playing at a high level as a veteran leader on one of the league's young ascending offenses. Even deep into his career, Scherff stayed the same player he had always been, reliable, physical, and technically sound. Through the 2024-2025 season, he remained Jacksonville's starting right guard, a stabilizing force in both the run game and pass protection, and one of the most respected linemen in the league. From a multi-position Iowa athlete to an Outland Trophy winner to a perennial Pro Bowl guard and one of the toughest players of his era, Brandon Scherff stands as the 5th player drafted, a rare top 5 pick who fully lived up to expectations in the trenches.
6th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Leonard Williams.
6th player taken. Leonard Williams was drafted 6th overall by the New York Jets, and from the moment he put pads on, people could tell he was different. At Mainland High School in Daytona Beach, Williams wasn't just big. He was explosive, powerful, and freakishly athletic for his size. He played defensive end, tight end. Recruiters saw a rare physical talent, someone who looked like a linebacker but hit like a defensive tackle. By the end of his senior year, Williams had risen to a high 4-star recruit, ranked among the best defensive linemen in the entire nation. He committed to USC, where his dominance only accelerated. Williams became a starter as a freshman and instantly turned into one of the most disruptive defensive linemen in college football. He racked up tackles for loss and game-changing plays while lining up all over the Trojans' front. His blend of length, power, and violent hands overwhelmed offensive linemen. By his junior year, he was widely considered the best defensive prospect in college football, a player with a top 5 talent, a sky-high motor, and the versatility to play anywhere on the defensive line. When he declared for the 2015 NFL Draft, scouts labeled him the safest pick in the entire class. Elite strength, elite tape, elite character. The Jets happily ended his slide and took him with the 6th overall pick. Williams stepped into the NFL with almost no adjustment period. As a rookie, he became a starter on one of the league's most talented offensive fronts, showing power beyond his years. He made the Pro Bowl in 2016 after putting up 7 sacks, 19 quarterback hits, and 68 tackles, quickly establishing himself as one of the best young interior players in football. His ability to line up inside or outside, play the run at a high level, and collapse pockets made him the Jets' most reliable defender through the late 2010s. But as the Jets tore down and rebuilt out their roster, Williams became one of the biggest trade chips on the team. In 2019, the Giants sent mid-round picks to acquire him, a move that shocked fans but paid off. Under defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, Williams had the best season of his career in 2020, posting 11.5 sacks, dominating double teams, and becoming the anchor for the Giants' defensive front. His power and hand usage turned him into a problem for interior linemen every Sunday. He continued being a consistent force for New York over the next few seasons, even as the roster around him fluctuated. Then, in 2023, the Giants traded Williams to the Seattle Seahawks mid-season, where he instantly helped solidify their defensive front. His leadership and versatility became a huge asset for Seattle's young defense, and he remained a key starter through the 2024-2025 NFL season. Still powerful, still disruptive, and still one of the most technically skilled interior linemen in football.
With the 7th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Kevin White.
7th player selected. Kevin White was taken 7th overall by the Chicago Bears, but his road to becoming a top 10 pick was one of the most unlikely in the entire 2015 class. Coming out of Emmaus High School in Pennsylvania, he wasn't even a solid 3-star. He was a late bloomer, tall, skinny, raw, and underdeveloped. Colleges liked his potential, but his grades weren't there yet, so he took the long path. White enrolled at Lackawanna College, a JUCO program in Scranton, Pennsylvania, where he made one decision that changed his entire future. He committed to outworking everyone. At Lackawanna, he slowly started transforming, lifting harder, sharpening his route, adding muscle, learning the details of playing wide receiver. He played well enough in junior college to earn interest from Power 5 schools, eventually coming to West Virginia, a place known for turning under-the-radar athletes into NFL-level weapons. At West Virginia, everything finally clicked. After a quiet first year, Kevin White exploded in 2014. He became one of the most dominant receivers in the country, catching 109 passes for 1,447 yards and 10 touchdowns, tearing up Big 12 defenses with his size, strength, and aggressive playing style. White wasn't the quickest or most polished route runner, but he didn't need to be. He bullied cornerbacks, he outjumped everyone, and played with a physicality that made him look like a Sunday-ready receiver. Overnight, he went from forgotten JUCO transfer and one of the hottest draft prospects in America. By the time the 2015 NFL Draft arrived, his stock was sky high. Scouts loved his 6'3" frame, 4.35 speed, and ability to dominate contested catches. Chicago saw a future WR1 and took him 7th overall, pairing him with Alshon Jeffrey to form what they hoped would be an elite duo. From the moment he arrived in the NFL, everything fell apart. White suffered a stress fracture in his shin before ever playing a snap. His rookie season ended before it even started. In 2016, he returned, only to break his leg 4 games into the year. In 2017, he fractured his shoulder blade in week 1. In 2018, another injury. Every time he got close to contributing, another freak injury struck. It wasn't effort, it wasn't conditioning, it was pure bad luck. The kind of brutal stretch that can derail even the most gifted athlete. The Bears eventually moved on, and White bounced around the league fighting to stay alive. The Cardinals, the 49ers, the Saints. He made a few active rosters, played special team, and even recorded a 30-yard catch with the New Orleans, a reminder of the talent still inside him, but the inconsistent injuries had taken too much away. By the mid-2020s, White had drifted out of the league, his NFL story becoming one of the most tragic what could have been cases of the decade. From an overlooked Pennsylvania prospect to a JUCO grinder to a West Virginia superstar who became the 7th pick in the entire draft. Kevin White's career is a reminder of how thin the line can be between superstardom and heartbreak. He was the 7th player drafted before Todd Gurley, and the one whose destiny changed the most because of injuries no one could have seen coming.
8th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Vic Beasley.
8th player selected. Vic Beasley was drafted 8th overall by the Atlanta Falcons, but his path to that moment was anything but traditional. At Adairsville High School in Georgia, Beasley was a blue-chip defensive end from day one. He played running back, wide receiver, and linebacker, basically whatever the team needed. He was explosive, fast, and naturally gifted, but still raw, still figuring out who he was as a football player. As recruiting picked up, schools noticed his freakish athleticism and rare bend around the edge, and he eventually rose to a high school 4-star recruit, one of the most versatile defensive athletes in the Southeast. He committed to Clemson, where his career took off. Beasley didn't become a star immediately, but once he got into Clemson's weight program and defensive system, everything started clicking. He transformed from a skinny, positionless athlete into one of the most feared pass rushers in the nation. From 2013 to 2014, he terrorized quarterbacks, racking up 25 sacks in 2 seasons and earning All-American honors. His first step was elite. His flexibility was unmatched, and he could flatten around the corner in a way almost no one else at the college level could. By the time he entered the 2015 NFL Draft, scouts saw a pure speed rusher with double-digit sack potential. The Falcons needed exactly that. They took him 8th overall, betting on one of the best edge athlete profiles in the entire class. His rookie season was quiet, but in 2016, everything changed. Beasley exploded for 15.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and a league-leading sack total, helping Atlanta reach the Super Bowl and becoming one of the breakout stars of the year. His speed off the edge was almost impossible to deal with. Offensive tackles couldn't touch him, and he became the focal point of a young, fast Falcons defense. It looked like Atlanta had drafted a superstar, someone who would dominate for years, but after that peak, his career took one of the most dramatic downturns in recent memory. The sacks dried up, the consistency disappeared, teams adjusted, forcing him into power battles he couldn't always win. Coaching changes, scheme shifts, and lingering injuries all played a part. Beasley went from 15.5 sacks in 2016 to averaging just 4 per year afterward. The Falcons declined his 5th-year option, and his time in Atlanta quietly ended. He signed with the Tennessee Titans in 2020, but it never worked out. He recorded 0 sacks and was released mid-season. The Raiders grabbed him next, hoping to unlock the athleticism that made him a household name, but he couldn't fully regain his confidence or his role. For the next couple of years, he bounced around between practice squads and short stints in the USFL, trying to resurrect his career. Through the mid-2020s, Beasley worked to stay involved in football, still training, still hoping for another NFL chance. His story became one of the biggest what happened arcs of the decade. A player who reached the absolute top of the league, then struggled to find the same spark again.
With the 9th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Ereck Flowers.
9th player selected. Ereck Flowers was drafted 9th overall by the New York Giants. His journey to being a top 10 pick started in South Florida, where he grew into one of the most physically imposing linemen in the entire country. At Miami Norland High School, Flowers didn't just look like a defensive one lineman. He looked like a grown man playing against kids. He was massive, strong, and surprisingly agile for his size. Recruiters loved his frame and his raw power, and by the time his senior season rolled around, Flowers had risen into a 4-star recruit, ranked among the best offensive tackles in the nation. He stayed home and committed to the University of Miami, where he developed into one of the nastiest, most physical run blocks in college football. Flowers became a starter early in his career and quickly earned a reputation for having an NFL-ready body, violent hands, and the kind of strength that could cave in an entire side of a defensive line. By his junior year, he was the anchor of Miami's offensive front, and scouts fell in love with his toughness and upside. He wasn't the most refined pass protector, but his tools were elite, and teams believed they could coach him into a franchise left tackle. The Giants bought into that projection and selected him 9th overall in the 2015 NFL Draft, hoping he would become the long-term blindside protector for Eli Manning. But from the moment he stepped onto an NFL field, Flowers struggled. Speed rushers beat him around the edge, technique issues showed up immediately, footwork, leverage, balance. And because he was thrown into the lineup right away at left tackle, his flaws were exposed weekly. New York media turned him into a target, and frustration mounted. His time with the Giants became defined by inconsistency, criticism, and pressure he wasn't ready for. But this is where Flowers' story took a dramatic turn. After leaving New York, he signed with Jacksonville and then Washington, and that's where his career changed forever. Washington moved him inside to guard, and suddenly everything clicked. The issues he had at tackle vanished. Inside, he could use his power, size, and aggressiveness without worrying about edge speed. Flowers became a mauler again, just like he was in Miami. In 2019, he played the best football of his career, earning praise as one of the most improved offensive linemen in the league. His success at guard earned him a big contract from the Miami Dolphins, where he continued playing solid, reliable football. Then he was traded back to Washington, where he again became a steady interior starter. The pressure and spotlight of being a top 10 left tackle were gone, replaced by a role that fit his strengths perfectly, a physical, powerful interior blocker who didn't have to live on an island against elite speed rushers. Flowers eventually moved around as a veteran, spending time with Washington into the early mid-2020s. Even if he never became the franchise left tackle the Giants expected, he carved out a legitimate career and even reinvented himself at a new position when most players would have just faded away. 10th player selected. Todd Gurley was drafted 10th overall by the St. Louis Rams, but his path to becoming one of the most explosive running backs of his generation didn't start in the SEC. It started in tiny Tarboro, North Carolina. At Tarboro High School, Gurley was a walking highlight reel. He played running back, safety, returned kicks, and even competed as a world-level hurdler, carrying his team to a state championship. He was a 4-star recruit, ranked among the best running backs in the nation, but even that didn't capture how freakishly athletic he really was. Georgia saw it, and once he committed, everything changed. The moment Gurley stepped onto the field at Georgia, he wasn't just good, he was a superstar. His freshman year was one of the best in the SEC in a decade. 1,385 yards, 17 touchdowns, and a physical running style that felt like a throwback to the early 2000s. Gurley ran angry, broke ankles like they were nothing, and had rare long speed for a 230-pound back. Over the next 3 seasons, he became one of the most dominant players in college football, stiff-arming linebackers, hurdling defenders, ripping off 40-yard runs like it was routine. The only thing that slowed him down was a torn ACL late in the 2014 season. Most running backs drop in the draft after an ACL tear. Gurley didn't. Even with the injury, teams still viewed him as the most talented running back prospect in years. The Rams took him 10th overall.
With the 10th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Todd Gurley, running back, Georgia.
Betting that once he recovered, he would change their offense. They were right. He debuted in Week 3 of the 2015 season and instantly became one of the best backs in the league. His first 4 starts, 146, 159, 128, and 133 yards. It didn't matter that the Rams didn't have a passing game. Gurley was the offense. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year and showed flashes of the superstar he would soon become. But it was 2017 and 2018 where Todd Gurley became a household name. Under Sean McVay, Gurley turned into the NFL's most dangerous weapon. In 2017, carrying the Rams to the playoffs and finishing as the MVP runner-up. In 2018, he was even better and looked unstoppable in one of the league's best offenses. He wasn't just a runner, he was a receiver, a red zone nightmare, and the engine of a team headed to the Super Bowl. But behind the scenes, something was happening that nobody wanted to believe. His knee, the same one from college, was breaking down. The Rams managed his touches late in 2018, sparking major speculation. By 2019, the bursts weren't the same. The stiffness was sore, the explosiveness came and went. Gurley was only 25, but his knee had aged like he was 35. After the 2019 season, the Rams released him. He signed with Atlanta in 2020 and showed flashes early, including scoring 9 touchdowns, but the burst was gone. The cutting ability was gone. His knee was bone on bone, the kind of condition that no rehab can reverse. By 2021, Gurley was out of football. Not because the talent disappeared, the body just couldn't hold up anymore. He officially announced his retirement in 2022, still only 28 years old, leaving behind a career defined by breathtaking highs and heartbreaking physical decline. To a Georgia superstar, to the most dominant running back in the NFL, to an Offensive Player of the Year, to a Super Bowl centerpiece, Todd Gurley became one of the most electric players of the 2010s, even if his prime was short. He was the 10th pick in the 2015 draft, and for a 2-year stretch, he wasn't just the best running back in the league, he was one of the best players in the entire NFL.